Don't let your boyfriend stop you from finding your husband. That was the sentence. The exact sentence I saw plastered across my girlfriend Amanda's Facebook page late one Thursday night. And here's the kicker. The boyfriend in that sentence? Yeah, that was me. I stared at my screen, heart hammering so hard I swear I could hear the blood in my ears. At first, I thought maybe it was some random quote she'd shared without thinking. You know how people repost those cliché lines, right? A quick share, no big deal. But then I scrolled down, and that's when my stomach dropped. The comments, dozens of them. Her friends hyping her up like she'd just delivered the speech of the century. Laughing emojis, winky faces, and then the one that really cut deep. Preach sis, you deserve better. And Amanda? She hit the little heart button on that comment. My girlfriend, the woman I'd been with for nearly 3 years, actually liked the idea that she deserved better than me. Imagine that for a second. Imagine the person you've built your life around, the one you thought you were planning a future with, casually advertising to the world that maybe you're not good enough. I sat there staring at my phone, and it felt like the floor had just been ripped out from under me. Now, I wish I could tell you this was just a one-off, that it was some dumb meme, harmless fun, water under the bridge. But no, this was the first crack in the dam. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it, because this was only the beginning. The private Instagram stories, the so-called jokes that didn't feel like jokes, the friends whispering behind my back. It all piled up until I had to face a brutal truth. Maybe I wasn't her partner anymore. Maybe I was just her placeholder. And once that thought plants itself in your head, it doesn't go away. It festers. Over the next hour, I'm going to walk you through how one joke post spiraled into the unraveling of a 3-year relationship, complete with betrayal, manipulation, and a final very public payoff that I don't think Amanda saw coming. But first, let me rewind. Because before the heartbreak, before the humiliating Facebook post, there was us. And us used to be good. Really good. And I think that's what makes the betrayal sting so much more. Now, before I get into the messy details, I just want to pause and say this. This story took a lot of time and energy to bring to life for you. If you enjoy hearing these wild Reddit-style stories, the kind that make you shake your head and think no way that actually happened, please hit that subscribe button. It's free, it helps the channel grow, and honestly, it keeps me motivated to keep sharing more of these with you. Alright, buckle up. Let's go back to where it all began. Amanda and I met back in college. She wasn't just another student sitting in a lecture hall. Amanda was the girl, the kind of person who walked into a room and immediately had everyone's attention without even trying. She had this wild confidence about her, a sharp wit, and a laugh that carried. Professors remembered her. Classmates wanted to sit next to her. She was magnetic. And then there was me. Quiet, reserved. The guy who preferred to sit in the back row, scribbling notes while silently praying the professor wouldn't cold call me. I wasn't antisocial, just low-key. The type who would rather observe than participate. By all logic, Amanda and I should have been ships passing in the night. She thrived in chaos. I thrived in calm. She loved the spotlight. I was allergic to it. But somehow we clicked. Our first real conversation happened in the campus cafe. She dropped her bag on the table across from mine and said, "You always look so serious. What are you plotting?" I blinked at her, probably looking like a deer in headlights, and muttered something awkward like, "Just homework." She grinned. Lame answer. Try again. And that was it. That was Amanda. Bold, teasing, impossible to ignore. From then on, she kept showing up, at my table, at my side in group projects, even dragging me to a few parties I never would have gone to on my own. And against all odds, we worked. She was the storm, I was the anchor. She pulled me out of my shell, and I gave her someone steady to come home to when the noise of the world got too loud. By the time we graduated, we were inseparable. We talked about moving in together, fantasized about wedding plans, even tossed around baby names in those late-night, half-serious conversations couples have when they're daydreaming about forever. Back then, Amanda made me feel like the luckiest guy alive. But here's the thing about relationships. Sometimes, the version of someone you fall for isn't the version you end up with. At first, it was subtle. Amanda got really into social media. No big deal, right? Everyone does. She followed relationship gurus, influencers, pages with names like Love Unlocked and Boss Babe Diaries. At first, it was just inspirational stuff. Never settle for less than you deserve. Don't pour from an empty cup. Okay, cool. Self-love, boundaries. I was all for that. But slowly, her feed started to shift. It wasn't about building something together anymore. It was about looking for something better. Quotes like, "Your boyfriend isn't your husband. The grass might be greener. Upgrade your standards. upgrade your life. I'd scroll past them on her stories and feel this little twist in my gut, but I ignored it. I told myself, it's just social media, just noise, don't overthink it. But then came the night everything changed. I was lying in bed, scrolling Facebook, when I saw it. Amanda's status, sitting there like a flashing neon sign. Don't let your boyfriend stop you from finding your husband. At first, I froze. My brain couldn't process it. Surely this wasn't directed at me. Surely this was just some random quote she thought was funny. But then I clicked the comments, and that's where the knife twisted. Her friends were all over it. Preach, sis. This. You deserve better. And Amanda, my girlfriend of almost 3 years, liked those comments. That wasn't noise. That wasn't harmless. That was her, publicly co-signing the idea that I wasn't enough. When I confronted her, I tried to stay calm. My voice was steady, but my heart was pounding out of my chest. I said, Amanda, why would you post that? Do you realize how that makes me look? How it makes us look? She laughed. Literally laughed in my face. Oh my God, it's just a joke. Everyone posts stuff like that. You're being so sensitive. And maybe if she'd said it sincerely, maybe if she'd reached for my hand, reassured me, I could have let it go. But the way she smirked, the way she brushed me off like I was a child throwing a tantrum, it didn't feel like a joke. And it wasn't just the post. A few days later, a mutual friend sent me screenshots from Amanda's private Instagram story, and there it was, meme after meme, all with the same theme. Upgrade your man. Leaving boys for men. If he wanted to, he would. Each one felt like a tiny dagger. Not sharp enough to kill me outright, but sharp enough to leave scars. That same friend messaged me, dude, are you okay? Because this doesn't look good. And he was right. It didn't look good at all. Imagine being in my shoes. Imagine investing 3 years of your life into someone, only to realize they might see you as temporary. Like a pit stop until something better comes along. Be honest, if your partner posted something like this about you, would you forgive them, or is that the ultimate deal breaker? Drop your thoughts in the comments. But as much as that post hurt, what happened next made it crystal clear. Amanda wasn't just joking. She was testing boundaries. And she was about to push things even further. Here's where the tension starts boiling. Repeated fights, Amanda's dismissiveness, the humiliation in front of friends, and OP beginning to doubt himself. The days after Amanda's Facebook post felt like living under a microscope. I couldn't shake the feeling that everyone who saw it was laughing at me behind my back. Every time I logged onto Facebook, there it was, her status, still up, still gathering likes. Every time I looked at her, I thought about the comments her friends left, and the fact that she'd hearted them. But Amanda? She carried on like nothing happened. One night, as we were sitting on the couch, I tried to bring it up again. I said, Amanda, these posts, they're making me feel like you don't respect me. Like I'm just some placeholder until you find someone better. She didn't even look up from her phone. She rolled her eyes and said, you're overthinking everything. Social media isn't real life, but that's the thing. It is real life. When her friends are hyping her up and calling her single, when strangers see me tagged in her photos, and then see her posting memes about finding her husband, guess what? They connect the dots. And the dots spelled out a story I didn't like. And soon, people started talking. One of my buddies pulled me aside after class one day. He said, look, I don't want to start drama, but Amanda's been going out with her girlfriends a lot lately, and the way they talk about her online, man, it doesn't sound good. You sure everything's cool between you two? I tried to brush it off. Yeah, we're fine. But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. And then came the first real fight. We were getting ready to head out one Friday night when I finally snapped. I said, Amanda, if you want out, just say so. Don't humiliate me online. Don't make me look like a fool. She spun around, eyes blazing, and snapped, wow, you're really insecure, you know that? No wonder people say stuff like that. That cut me to the core. It wasn't insecurity, it was betrayal. But Amanda flipped the script so suddenly, so sharply, that I actually found myself questioning if she was right. Was I being insecure? Was I reading too much into things? But then I remembered the screenshots from her private story, the memes about upgrading your man, the sly little digs at boys versus men. And suddenly, I wasn't so sure I was crazy after all. Still, Amanda had planted the seed of doubt. And that's the thing about gaslighting. Once it worms its way into your brain, it's hard to shake off. I started second-guessing myself. Maybe it was just a joke. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I should just drop it. But then the cracks started widening. We went out with friends one night, and one of Amanda's girlfriends made a joke at my expense. Something like, Amanda, when are you going to trade this one in for the upgrade? The whole group laughed. Amanda included. She didn't defend me. She didn't shut it down. She just laughed. I sat there, smiling stiffly, but inside I was burning. because jokes only work when both people are laughing, and I wasn't. After that night, I noticed a pattern. Amanda seemed to thrive on the attention she got whenever she acted like she was too good for me. Her friends hyped her up, and she soaked it in. Meanwhile, I was left wondering where the girl I fell in love with had gone. One night, I tried again. I told her, Amanda, these comments, these jokes, they're humiliating. They make me feel small. Do you really think I'm not good enough for you? She rolled her eyes again. God, why are you always looking for problems? It's not that deep. Maybe if you weren't so sensitive, people wouldn't tease you. There it was again. The script flipped. Somehow, I was the problem. And the worst part? I started to believe it. I started pulling away from my own friends because I didn't want to hear the whispers. I stopped checking her social media because I couldn't stomach seeing what new memes she'd shared. I felt like I was slowly disappearing inside my own relationship. The girl who used to make me feel like I was the most important person in the room now made me feel invisible, replaceable, disposable. And then came the night that sealed it for me. Amanda had gone out with her friends, and one of them tagged her in a post, "Single Girls Night Out," with a picture of them clinking glasses. When I confronted her about it later, she brushed it off again. Oh my God, they're just being dramatic. You're really reaching. But deep down I knew. These weren't just jokes. This wasn't harmless. This was Amanda testing how far she could push me, how much disrespect I would tolerate before I broke. Because instead of pulling back, Amanda doubled down. And that's when I realized, if I wanted to survive this with any dignity left, I needed to stop reacting and start thinking strategically. Great, let's push forward into the meat of the story. This is where the narrator stops being passive and starts thinking strategically, shifting the power dynamic. After weeks of feeling like I was losing my grip, something inside me finally snapped. I realized that if I kept confronting Amanda directly, nothing would change. She had mastered the art of flipping every argument back on me. In her world, I wasn't betrayed, I was insecure. I wasn't disrespected, I was overreacting. So, I decided to stop reacting altogether. I stopped arguing with her about her posts. I stopped complaining about her friends' digs. I stopped feeding the fire. On the surface, I played it cool, smiling when she laughed at another upgrade joke, nodding when she brushed off another late-night outing. But underneath, I was paying attention. I started screenshotting everything. Every post, every meme, every single girl caption, every sly dig her friends made that she liked or commented on. At first, I didn't know why I was doing it. Maybe it was just proof that I wasn't crazy. Proof that if things went south, I could look back and remind myself this wasn't in my head. But then I realized, it was more than proof. It was leverage. Because when you're being gaslit, leverage is the only weapon that evens the playing field. Meanwhile, I started pulling away. Not in a dramatic way. I didn't want her to know what I was doing. I just slowly stopped centering my world around her. When she canceled plans, I made new ones instead of waiting around. When she went out with her girlfriends, I went to the gym or grabbed drinks with my own friends. When she ignored my concerns, I stopped giving her the satisfaction of a fight. And that shift, that tiny, almost invisible shift, didn't go unnoticed. One Friday night, Amanda came home late from a girls' night. Normally, I would have been waiting up, scrolling angrily through my phone, ready to pounce with questions. But that night, I was already in bed, half asleep, phone face down. She walked in and said, "You didn't wait up?" I just shrugged. I was tired. That was the first crack in her confidence. The next week, she posted another meme. Something like, "Never settle for less when you deserve the best." Normally, I would have confronted her. Instead, I let it slide. Didn't mention it once. 2 days later, she asked, "Did you see my post?" "Yeah," I said casually. Funny. That threw her off. Because suddenly, the game wasn't working anymore. The more I pulled back, the more she pushed. She started texting me more when she was out, asking what I was doing. She started getting clingier, which was ironic considering how independent she claimed to be online. It was like she could sense the shift in power, but she couldn't put her finger on what had changed. Meanwhile, I was stacking my deck. One night, one of my friends pulled me aside and showed me something I hadn't seen. A Snapchat video from Amanda's story. She was out at a bar with her girlfriends, and some guy had his arm around her. She wasn't pushing him off. She wasn't acting uncomfortable. In fact, she was smiling. When I asked her about it later, she brushed it off as just a random drunk guy. But now I had proof. Screenshots. Videos. Witnesses. I wasn't ready to use them, not yet. Timing is everything. Instead, I kept playing it cool. I let her think she was still winning. I let her think she was still the one in control. Meanwhile, I was building a case, one she wouldn't see coming. And here's the thing, once you stop reacting, you start seeing clearly. I realized Amanda wasn't just disrespectful. She was addicted to attention. Every post, every meme, every single girl caption. It wasn't about me. It wasn't even about her friends. It was about strangers. About getting validation from people she didn't even know. That's when it hit me. No amount of love from me was ever going to compete with the high she got from likes and comments. And if that was the game she wanted to play, I wasn't going to try to win. I was going to let her lose. So, I stayed patient. I waited. And sure enough, Amanda gave me exactly what I needed. One night, she slipped up. She forgot to remove me from her private story on Snapchat. And there it was, a video of her dancing way too close with some guy, her friends cheering her on in the background. That was it. The smoking gun. But instead of blowing up right then and there, I did something different. I saved it. I tucked it away with the rest of my collection. And I acted like nothing happened. Because now, I had a choice. I could either confront her, the same way I always had, and let her gaslight me again, or I could wait for the perfect moment and flip the entire script on her. If you were in my shoes, would you confront Amanda immediately with the evidence, or would you wait for the right time to drop everything at once? Cliffhanger, because what I chose to do next not only caught Amanda off guard, it flipped the power dynamic of our relationship forever. Perfect. Now we move into the explosive part of the story, where everything Amanda has been hiding collides with the evidence Opie has been stacking. This is the big payoff your viewers have been waiting for. I knew I couldn't sit on this forever. The screenshots, the videos, the late-night stories, they weren't just random receipts anymore. They were a loaded weapon. But weapons are useless unless you pick the right moment to pull the trigger. And that moment came sooner than I expected. Amanda's best friend, Lisa, was throwing a birthday party at her apartment. A big one. Drinks, music, the whole friend group invited. Amanda begged me to come. "It'll look bad if you don't," she said. And right there, I realized something. She cared about appearances. She wanted the world to think we were the perfect couple, even while she posted quotes about finding her real husband. So, I agreed. But secretly, I knew this was going to be the stage. When we got there, Amanda immediately went into social butterfly mode. Laughing too loud, clinging to her girlfriends, barely acknowledging me. I played along, casual, sipping my drink, chatting with some of the guys. But all night, I was watching her. And she was watching me, too. She wasn't used to me being this calm. Normally, I'd be tense, hovering around her, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Not tonight. Tonight, I was ice cold. Halfway through the night, Lisa started passing her phone around, showing everyone funny TikToks. That gave me an idea. When it landed in my hands, I pulled up my own phone and opened my gallery, the folder I'd been quietly building for months. Screenshots, Instagram stories, Snapchats, videos. All of it, and I thought, why wait? So when Amanda wandered over, laughing with two of her girlfriends, I asked loud enough for the group to hear. "Hey Amanda, remember this?" I tapped the screen, and there it was, the Snapchat video of her dancing with that guy. Loud music, her friends cheering in the background, her face way too close to his. The group went quiet. Amanda froze. "What the hell, why do you have that?" "Oh, I've got plenty," I said, swiping through. Meme after meme about upgrading your man. Captions about being single, screenshots of her private posts. The room erupted. Gasps. Whispers. Someone muttered, "Damn, Amanda." Amanda's face turned red. "You're crazy. You've been spying on me." I tilted my head. Calm. Controlled. Spying? No. Just paying attention. She tried to laugh it off. "This is out of context. You're making it a big deal." That's when Lisa, her own best friend, spoke up. "Amanda, you literally posted that stuff. We all saw it." And just like that, her support system cracked. Her girlfriends, the same ones who hyped her up online, weren't jumping in to save her now. Some were avoiding eye contact. Others were quietly smirking. The energy shifted, and for the first time, Amanda wasn't the one in control. She pulled me aside, hissing, "Why would you embarrass me like that?" I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Why would you embarrass me for months in front of the entire internet?" That was it. I grabbed my jacket and left the party. No yelling, no scene, just a clean exit. And let me tell you, nothing hits harder than walking away with dignity while the other person scrambles in front of everyone. My phone blew up the next morning. Texts from Amanda, begging to talk. DMs from her friends, half apologies, half gossip. But I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because the truth was already out there. When Amanda finally showed up at my place, she tried every card in the deck. First, denial. "You're overthinking. Those posts didn't mean anything." Then, deflection. Everyone does that online. You're the only one making it a big deal. Finally, desperation. Please don't leave me. We've been together too long to throw it away. But by then, my mind was made up. I said, Amanda, you already threw it away. You just thought I wouldn't notice. And with that, I ended it. No dramatic speech. No bargaining. Just a quiet breakup that hit harder than any shouting match ever could. Here's the thing about public drama. Once people see behind the curtain, they don't unsee it. Amanda went from being the confident social queen of our friend group to the girl who got caught. Her posts stopped being hyped. Her comments dried up. The same friends who cheered her on started keeping their distance. Meanwhile, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Do you think Amanda deserved to get exposed at the party like that? Or was it too extreme? Would you have kept it private? Or gone public like I did? Drop your thoughts below. Because while exposing Amanda gave me closure, the aftermath wasn't as simple as walking away. There were ripple effects I didn't see coming. Perfect, irony, and that final emotional punch. Walking away from Amanda that night felt like closing a book I should have stopped reading chapters ago. But endings are never that clean, are they? In the weeks after the breakup, my phone was a revolving door of notifications. Amanda texted constantly, "We can fix this. You're overreacting. I miss you." At first, I ignored her. But when she started showing up at my apartment unannounced, I had to draw the line. I told her flat out, "Amanda, it's over. Please respect that." That was the first time I saw real panic in her eyes. Not the fake tears. Not the manipulative laughter. Just raw fear. Fear that she wasn't the one in control anymore. Our friend group split right down the middle. Some of the guys reached out to me, saying, "Dude, we all saw it coming. You handled it better than any of us would have." Even a couple of her girlfriends admitted privately she took things too far. We didn't realize how bad it looked until you laid it all out. But there were others, the ride-or-die friends who still hyped Amanda up, no matter what. They unfollowed me, stopped inviting me out, made it clear they'd chosen her side. And honestly, that was fine. Because in losing half the group, I gained something better. Clarity about who was real and who wasn't. Here's the part one didn't expect. Life got lighter. I started sleeping better. I wasn't glued to my phone, dreading what I'd see online. I wasn't replaying arguments in my head, trying to convince myself I wasn't crazy. I was free. And in that freedom, I started noticing things I hadn't before. I reconnected with old hobbies. I hit the gym harder. I even picked up guitar again, something Amanda always rolled her eyes at because it was a waste of time. Turns out, it wasn't a waste of time. It was me reclaiming myself. Looking back, I realized Amanda wasn't just a bad girlfriend. She was a mirror. She showed me exactly what happens when you give someone else control over your self-worth. For too long, I let her dictate the terms of our relationship. I let her online posts define how I felt about myself. I let her jokes become my reality. But the moment I stopped playing defense and started thinking strategically, everything changed. As for Amanda, her social media presence took a nosedive. At first, she tried doubling down, posting even more single girl boss content. But without the same validation from friends, it fell flat. One by one, the comments dwindled. The likes slowed down. The attention, the thing she craved most, slipped away. And when she realized that the internet wasn't enough to fill the void, she tried crawling back to me. But by then, I was long gone. Here's the ironic part, the part that still makes me shake my head. Amanda once posted, "Don't let your boyfriend stop you from finding your husband." Well, guess what? She didn't just lose her boyfriend. She lost the one person who actually cared about her beyond the filters and hashtags. And me? I didn't lose anything. I gained myself back. If you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person who loves deep, messy dramas like this one. Please subscribe so I can keep bringing you more unbelievable stories. And trust me, the next one, it's even crazier.